Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to Sajdah's Monday morning motivation. This is just all geared up for us as a community to get our Monday started right, with the right vibes, with the right thoughts, and just manifest what we need to manifest this week. So I'll give you guys a chance to get into the room, give the algorithm time to let y'all know that we are here, and we'll be back in about 2 to 3 minutes.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Peace be unto you. Happy Monday. Welcome to the show. A little Monday morning motivation to get your week started right. Um, I love these kind of things because it's always good to just connect with something, someone, some people that can get you going in the right direction. And the idea is to connect with conscious people who understand how powerful conversation is and how powerful it is from a vibratory standpoint. So welcome to the show. We always show you 2 or 3 minutes worth of commercials as we're waiting to come on. Most people just give you like a 2 to 3 minute countdown, but we don't do that. We give you at least something to look at, okay? And I hope it's good to you, entertaining. Hope you enjoy some of our announcements and commercials. Um, some of y'all was sleepy because y'all was up all night watching the BET Awards. Wow. I used to go to the BET Awards a lot. The last time I went, but I stopped going. The last time I went was the summer that Prince passed away. And it was a whole week of events dedicated to him. I think it was Black Music Month, and there was just all these events, a bunch of outdoor stuff and different stages. Um, and so it was an emotional weekend. I think the highlight of that weekend for me was Jennifer Hudson's performance of Purple Rain. She brought the house down, and what y'all didn't see, because like during the commercials, they're running around, the seat fillers are moving around, it's a little chaotic. What y'all didn't see was as she went off stage and how she had a moment. It was very powerful. But yeah, that was back in my days in the entertainment industry. There's been a couple of things that I've done that it was very clear to me, and Allah continues to remind me that it wasn't an industry or an environment for me. Um, I have a deep and tremendous love for music. I played instruments growing up. I sing. I love music. It's just I love using it as a vibratory tone. I love the history of music. I love me some disco music. I just love music. And so I thought at a certain point right out of college that to incorporate my love for music and not be boxed in as a corporate person was to get into music. And so I started fusing some of my technical skills in the entertainment industry. So I did royalty audits. I would do ticket audits, like when people would go on tour and they have to audit like the ticket sales and stuff like that. A lot of these were skills that I used when I was working at the National Center. So I moved them over into the entertainment industry. I was helping sell distribution deals, independent distribution deals. And so I had a couple of labels that I was working with, and we were finding like independent labels, distribution deals. I was one of the first people who set up digital distribution here in the city of Chicago. I had a partnership with a company called IOTA, and I was really, I was trying to apply a level of consciousness to the entertainment industry that just wasn't there. People were still stuck on this Motown thing where they wanted somebody to come and save them and scoop them up. People didn't understand the importance of being independent. This was in the early 2000s. And so I was saying, look, here's digital distribution. You ain't even got to print up all them CDs. That's what we used to do back in the day. You can just put your stuff out here online. And I was very naive from a business standpoint. I presented a lot of ideas to a lot of companies and a lot of labels, and I would look up on TV and see my ideas out there. That's when I learned that they pretty much just steal cultural ideas from people like myself who was naive enough to go in there and present. And then they put their money behind it, their twist to it, add a little ratchetness to it, and then it goes viral or becomes an Emmy Award winner. I started doing business management and then artist management, but it just was not a good time for me. I had a company. I did a lot, but Allah just didn't want me in that industry. I was chasing around artists, kissing the asses of people who didn't like me. Just hit me the other day, like, man, I've been kissing these people's asses for 20 something years, and I've known them and they don't like me. They don't have no empathy towards what I'm going through, who I am, what I was doing or sacrificing to try to make sure we were doing, radio programs, putting together radio packages so that people could get airplays. I figured out how to help people chart locally. So I would analyze the data. I'd figure out like who was the top person, how many units did they sell in Chicago. And I'd say, look, we can do independent charting through the music stores. At that time, we called them record stores or CD stores. And you can chart. And if you start charting in your local city, let's say the number one artist in the city for a Chicago charting was Nelly. And then I'd look at how many units did Nelly sell this week? Well, Nelly may have only sold like 1,200 units. And I would tell my people, look, if you can get close to that or outsell that, and I know you can, then guess what? Your numbers when Tuesday morning, when the labels get those reports, they're going to be looking like, whoa, who is this person outselling Nelly with no marketing money? And so I was a strategist from that standpoint. But it just was too independent, I think, at that time for people. People were still looking for the man to give them a deal. They wasn't trying to hear me with my strategy. And so I honestly, and if I admit to myself, I just started like doing a lot of ass kissing, excuse my language, to try to get people to understand me, and just hoping. And then I was thinking that because I was so dedicated to people and I was giving, me, when I go in on stuff, I go hard. I was giving everything I had, my life, my finances, just to go, help these people go viral. And it's just a messed up industry. I love the fact that now people can go independent. There's no way in the world now that I would do it. I wouldn't chase no artist around for no 10% of nothing. And if as a manager you try to get more than 10%, then somebody else is going to come along and say, dang, they charge you 10%. I only charge you XYZ. And then they get bigger and get these big artists, conglomerations that charge them up to 30, 40%. And then they become like Taraji P. Henson. Like, I'm tired of not making no money. That's because so many people, because you're chopping your money up with so many people. And your deals ain't independently or properly structured, and there's no strategy. And for me, I was like, if you had a strategist on your team, you'd be able to do it. But I was blessed to help a few people make something. I did some royalty audits for some major artists who ended up becoming free from an old label that was able to go to a new label, and then their careers went on from there. And work with a number of different people. I used to do show bookings where I would book concerts. I'd book a lot of stuff for like DMX, Snoop, people like that. Yeah. So then I used to go to the awards shows all the time. And then I realized, like, there ain't no money on this side of the coin. I'm on the wrong side of the table. I'm over here managing, trying to hope that artists hope they pop. And anybody chasing that, God bless them, because it takes a long time for the money to turn and come back. And a lot of times it never does, especially what you chuck out. I had an office and different things like that. And a lot of the white companies, they're charging you. They're going to take their number of artists. If they got 5 artists, they're going to take their rent, divide it up by 5, and that's what they're going to do. But literally, I was on the phone, telemarketing, just really calling and doing everything I could for people. But the way it was right at that turn where things were starting to turn, and independence was important in the industry in order to get your weight up, right? Because the labels weren't talking or hearing from anyone unless they had sales under their belt. And so trying to get our artists to see that they needed sales and that they needed, radio play. And it didn't cost that much, like $4,000 or $5,000. And a lot of times they didn't have the money, or if they had people around them that had money, they just didn't believe in that independent process. But right now, people are learning that is really, really the way to go. I get a lot of calls now from people who book coaching sessions with me who go, look, lay out the strategy, and I lay out the strategy for them, and it works. And they're independent artists, and they're making more money, and you probably don't even know who they are. They're making probably more money than the people whose names you see all the time. And it's tough, right, for managers. That's why I am not a firm believer in, until you got a big strategy behind you and you're doing well, you don't need no manager. You need to figure out how to manage your own stuff. You might need a PR person. I would approach it more from a partnership standpoint. You need people who are going to partner with you. But I wouldn't mess with no artist that ain't trying to get in the game themselves. And because what's going to happen is, if they get a $10,000 check and you've been working your butt off, making phone calls, paying for an office, stressing out, dealing with their attitude, kissing ass, and then you get a $1,000 check and they get a $9,000 check, both parties are going to be disappointed. So if you just take your $1,000 and you like, this all I get for working for 3-4 months, or if you say, okay, out of that $10,000 check, you owe me $7,000. So I'm going to take my 7 and you getting your 3, then somebody's not going to be happy then either, because 9 times out of 10, they might be broke or got, not business people and don't understand. So it's a tough game the way they got it set up. So I would just, when I'm consulting and coaching with people now, I'm talking to them about doing things the independent way and handling it in a way that you got to do a little shift from that old school model. And having been somebody, having done the royalty audits and the ticket audits, I will tell you that it's not pretty. So anyway, but it wasn't an industry that Allah wanted me in. It just didn't work. It wasn't something good. It didn't go smoothly and didn't happen well. But what's interesting is, once I dropped and stopped doing all the artistry, the work directly with the artists and dealing directly with the industry, I started to have a lot of success connected to the industry in terms of some of the technical work that I was doing, crisis management work. I did some crisis management work for some artists who got in trouble that came to me for strategy. We signed an NDA and I helped them. That became successful. Again, royalty audits, ticket audits, helping people with strategy, just ended up lining more up with my spirit. So, but anyway, shout out to all the winners of the BET Awards. I saw where they censored Usher a little bit. I don't know what my boy was talking about, but he was probably saying something. That's another side of the industry that's interesting, right? And unless you have a team, it's very difficult. A team and a strategy is very difficult if not part of the hot girl culture or some other culture that's in there to really make it. So, but anyway, shout out to everybody. Really quickly before we go, before I start talking about what I wanted to discuss this this morning, let me tell you guys about our upcoming shows this week. Okay. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to do a show at 6 a.m. called The State of Black Business. There was a report that was put out by the Urban League and some other organizations on the state of Black business. And we're going to just go through and dissect that report a little bit, um, and just share information that I know about that. I've been blessed to be in business and studying business since I was studying the Kiplinger Financial Report at 13 years old. So I know it, and I'm going to start sharing more of my information and my knowledge. I realized that I came out of the corporate world where you don't really talk that much, right? You talk to your clients, but there's always some kind of NDA and all of that kind of stuff. And so I rarely share information, but that's going to change. That's why you're seeing so many shows, and we got the 4-book launch that's coming out. So tomorrow morning, we're going to talk about the state of Black businesses, and we're going to dissect that report. We'll do a few lives in between, and then Thursday, we have chapter 2 of The Mind of an Entrepreneur, book on the Mind of an Entrepreneur show. So if you got the book, make sure you read chapter 2. That's what we're going to be going over. The reason why we're going through the book again is because the next book is coming out in the next 9 to 10 weeks. And so this 9-week series is just kind of going to connect the two bodies of knowledge. And I think it'll all begin to make sense. Friday morning, we're going to have a very special show. We're going to be talking about why eat to live, as a promotion of how to eat to, of how to eat to live, written by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the book 1 and 2. I'm going to talk to you why. I'm going to have one of my clients on. Her name is Naisha Russell. I hope she can make it because she's been working a lot. And so she's going to be, this will be her 12th straight day of working, 8th straight day of working 12 hours straight. So hopefully she can make it and be here for us. But she works in home health. She works in geriatric care. And I want her to just come on and tell you all some of the things that she's seen. You all know I spent a significant number of years, about 11 years, heavy in the healthcare industry. It's just some of the things that I've seen just are amazing. And I want us to begin to see that, because I think what happens is that when we have doctors come and talk to us, a lot of us have white coat syndrome. A lot of people go, oh, well, they're doctors, they're supposed to talk to us like that. But I think if you hear it from people who are seeing things, and for me, the shock of being in the industry and seeing what people go through as a result of abusing their bodies is very shocking. I mean, if you just start with how people smell as a result of abusing their bodies, it is really sad. And it really changed my empathy levels to really want to help people understand how important it is that we eat to live and that we take charge and take back control of our health. Unfortunately, we've given control of our health over to, I don't know who we giving it over to. We just we eat whatever we eat whatever is put in front of us. Many of us are on drugs in our 20s. And believe it or not, what you do in your 20s is going to dictate how the rest of your life goes. And you may think, people say, okay, I can just trick off my 20s. I can party, I can kick it. But let me tell you, what you do in your 20s is going to dictate what happens the rest of your life, or it's going to dictate how hard you got to work, or how you're positioned, or how you're not positioned. And deciding that you want to stop in your 20s and do drugs, pop pills, do crack, you're going to see it. You're going to see it. And we see it in the industry By the time you're in your 40s and 50s, even if you stop, if you know that in your 20s you were smoking out of control, drinking out of control, doing certain things out of control, you better be spending your 30s and your 40s, especially your 30s, being on top of your health, because it's only a matter of time it's going to come back to you. And we would see people come in and they say, but I haven't smoked in 20 years. Yeah, but you smoked from the time you was 9 years old to 25, or 9 years old to 30. And now they're 45 and they're like, yeah, but I'm young. I don't, you messed your body up. You threw out your immune system by doing crack from age 15 to 25. And you got yourself together. You look good. It seems like things are going great, but this is why your body's breaking down. And so we have to really take charge and start doing some preventative health in order to make sure that we can recover. The body can repair itself. We can recover, but you got to have awareness to do that. So we're going to talk about that Friday morning on Friday Morning Coffee Talk. And then Saturday, I'm not sure yet what we're going to talk about. And if you guys got a topic or something you want to discuss, let me know. All right, just let me know. Good morning, Sister Betty. Good morning, Mom. Walaikum salam, Brother Lamont. He says happy Monday as well. Mom says she loves the new introduction. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you very much. So here's the deal. I know I took up a lot of time talking about the entertainment industry and all that. Give me a thumbs up if you got questions, or write them in the chat if you got some questions or comments or something you want me to talk about. Here's what I was thinking about for this morning. As I was prepping for Thursday, where we're going to be talking about conversations with yourself, I want us to start the week thinking about what types of conversations we are having with ourselves. When everything around you is silent, what are you saying to yourself? Because a lot of us will say, I'm doing everything right. I'm eating right. I'm fasting. I'm praying. I'm not gossiping. I'm not slack talking. I don't watch craziness on TV. I don't do any of that. But things are just not popping like I feel like they should be popping. And a lot of that has a lot to do with what we're saying to ourselves. Are we countering the work that we're doing? What are you saying to yourself when you're looking in the mirror? Are you looking in the mirror saying, ugh, I look old, I look fat, I look ugly? What are you saying to yourself? Are you seeing other people that maybe look differently from you? Not even necessarily better. Are you constantly comparing? Are you so insecure that every time you see somebody else, you're comparing yourself to them? To the extent that you find yourself running out to the store, trying to buy what you see they got, looking online, taking pictures of what they got, trying to figure out how much it costs and can you go and get it and where you can find it. Are you wasting time because you're so busy comparing that you constantly are packaging people, which is destroying your relationships with them? You know what I'm talking about, where you're like, oh, well, she got that because she's such and such, such and such. Or, it ain't working out like she thought it would, or this ain't working, or whatever. But you're constantly judging and packaging because of these conversations you're having with yourself. And then you make yourself feel so bad and you go so deep into victimhood that then you try to climb yourself out with positivity and positive affirmations, but you done dug yourself so deep in a hole every single day that you really end up at ground zero or a little below or just a little above, and you aren't able to manifest anything. Is that what we're doing? What conversations are you having with yourself? So As we move into that topic, chapter 2 of the Mind of an Entrepreneur book, which is the Conversations with Self. If you already have the book, go back and read it. It's short, it's quick. You ain't got to do a whole lot of prep time. Just go back and read it. If you don't have the book, you can always get it online. It's available on Amazon. If you have the book and you want to buy some more copies for somebody else before the new book comes out, please go out and do that. But let's talk about, we're going to be talking about the conversations that we have with ourselves. And I want us to spend this week as our theme, being mindful of the conversations we're having with ourselves. Who are you when nobody else is there? What are you hiding? Not from you, not from everybody else, but from yourself. What's happening with you when you're by yourself? What are you saying to yourself? What conversations do you have with yourself? Because that's the part of you that you're emitting to the universe that's impacting whether you're successful or not. It's who you are when you're by yourself, when you're quiet, when the lights go out, when the phone hangs up. Who are you? What are you spending the majority of your time doing? What are you watching? How are you reprogramming, or how are you programming your subconscious mind? Do you go to church 3-4 times a week? Are you at the mosque 3-4 times a week? And then are you at home watching ratchetness all day and all night? So you got one high vibration, one low vibration, and they kind of just balancing each other out. What are you doing? Are you constantly regurgitating the trauma that you've gone through? Because some of us like to make it cute. That's why I don't mess around, because after what they did to me and after what I felt, are you making a God out of that? Is that the theme of your life? Is that trauma that you went through the theme of your life? I'm going to tell you something that'll straighten you up. I spent some time this weekend and I rewatched Birth of a Nation. Not the original one, but the second one with Nat Turner. And I cried, I bawled, but the biggest thing is it made me think. And I started really thinking, and I said, while they were picking cotton or shucking corn or sewing or cleaning or scrubbing or cutting down sugar cane, what were they thinking? You know how when you're working, you're thinking about something? What were they thinking? What did they want? What were their dreams? What were their hopes? What conversations were they having with themselves? And so I started thinking about that. I thought about my grandmother on the train ride from Louisiana to Nebraska. What was she thinking? I started just hearing the train and, seeing her there just kind of rocking as the train was moving. And I said, what was she thinking? What did she want? What was her dreams? What was her goals? What I want you to do is, when you think about these things, get out of your ego. Stop making it about yourself and really think about it. What did they want? What was she hoping for? And the fact that she was able to take the train versus, I was talking to somebody else who was saying that their grandmother came to Chicago in the early 40s, around the same time that my grandmother was migrating north. And her grandmother, she said that they hitched a ride part of the way. Part of the way they walked. Part of the way they was on a horse. Another part of the way they got on a bus, I think she said. And then another part of the way, the short way, they took the train. What made the difference? And What were they thinking? What did they want? What were they hoping for? What did they see in their mind's eye? What were they going towards? What were they chasing? And I think it's important for us to ask ourselves those questions. What were they doing? I was thinking about, I remember, I think I told you guys I went to the Buffalo Soldier Museum, or the Soldier Museum. I don't know if it's called Buffalo Soldier Museum in Houston, and I saw the regiment that my grandfather was on with the Korean War, and I started thinking about, as they got on those ships and went over there to fight, what were they thinking? What was on their minds? And as they came back to the States, what were they looking forward to? What did they want? I thought the same thing when I was in Benin. And I really meditated on that in Benin when I went to the slave malls. And I said, what was on their minds? What were they thinking? Because there's a thought process, right? Something happens to you, you're thinking, your mind is going, you're having a conversation with yourself. And I just was wondering what? One of the things when I meditated, when I was in Benin, I started to feel, I had a really serious experience where I started to feel heartbreak. And it was never something that I thought about our ancestors feeling as they boarded unwillingly or were kidnapped onto those ships. I never thought about heartbreak. I thought about fear. I thought about nervousness. I thought about pain, but I never thought about heartbreak. And when I went to the Dahomey Kingdom, I was in that very palace where they filmed The Woman King. I just started getting all these emotions. And that night I posed that question, and I just kind of threw it out there to the universe. Right there over the ocean, we had this beautiful, I don't know, I guess you would call it it's like a room, but it's like a little place that you stay that's right on the ocean, but it's your own individual little, it's not a cabin, but hut or whatever. And I was looking at the ocean and I'm listening to the ocean. I can hear it. And I said, what were they thinking? And heartbreak. And then I threw the question back out there. I said, why heartbreak? And what came back to me was, it was people they knew that looked like them, that were hired to kidnap them and take them to these slave malls, and in some parts of the coast, slave castles, and put them on ships. And so the heartbreak that they were feeling, not only of leaving their family, but being betrayed, is a deep, deep thing that has to be a part of our epigenetics. So sometimes we wonder why we don't trust, and how deep we got to go to work on our trust issues. I think it goes back to that. It goes back to trust. It goes back to that, not trust, but goes back to that moment on those ships for many of them, or the moment that they were captured by somebody whose face they recognized or whose face looked like them, who turned them over to some of the most brutal treatment that's ever happened in humanity. And so when I was watching Don Peebles last week on The Breakfast Club, if you all don't know Don Peebles, he is fabulous. He has been one of the mentors in my head for years. I've been following him for years. He's from Washington, D.C. He's one of the most successful real estate developers in the world, and clearly one of the most successful Black, or probably the most successful Black real estate developer. And Mr. Peebles was just laying out the case for why there has to be some type of reparations. There has to be some kind of payment for what we went through. And then even when we receive that compensation for building this world, free labor, offering free labor at no, unwillingly offering free labor, unwillingly giving our free labor. When we get that payment, I think we have to really make sure that we put a lot of effort and investment in not only securing our future, but healing ourselves. So we need a lot of healing programs and ways in which we can heal ourselves, because this is tough work. And so sometimes when we're having, back to my conversation, when we're having these conversations in our head and what we're saying to ourselves over and over again, sometimes it may not even be our conversation. It may be something that somebody else had generations before that we're continuing to repeat. And so I want us to use this week to raise our awareness about the conversations that we're having with ourselves, what we're saying about ourselves, to ourselves, when it's quiet, how we see ourselves, how we treat ourselves. Some of us abuse ourselves just like we've been abused for over 400 years. So just because, 120 or so years ago, we had the Emancipation Proclamation, whenever it was, doesn't mean that the pain stopped. Doesn't mean that the abuse stopped. We have continued to abuse ourselves. And so let's begin with those little conversations that we're having in our heads. And I don't mean to, and I know a lot of times people go, well, why does everything always have to be so racial? Well, primarily because I'm talking to my people as entrepreneurs and conscious entrepreneurs, and it's part of a common trauma bond, unfortunately, that we have. But it applies no matter what background you're from. It still applies. And asking yourselves the right questions, having those conversations, and based on your epigenetics and based on what your family has gone through, what conversations are you having with yourself? Do you have certain challenges and prejudices in your brain because somebody ingrained that into you as a child generations ago? What are you saying to yourself? When you see a person that looks a certain way, what conversations are you saying with yourself? When somebody pops up on your screen or television, this is how you can know where you really are. Even, I don't care how much you say you're evolved and how pious you think you are. When somebody pops up on your screen, somebody goes through something tragic, when you're afraid that something is about to happen to you, how do you react? How do you treat that person? How do you see that person? Do you get on the phone with other people and start talking about, yeah, she called over here saying such and such, or I can't even believe he stopped by here talking that. And are you doing that, or are you, deploying some level of empathy, some level of support? Are you giving that person any kind of mercy, or are you as harsh of a judge of other people that you are for other folks that you say you need to be free from? It's just real talk. Because a lot of us abuse ourselves worse than anybody outside of our community abuses us. But then we say, but I'm ready to make it. It's my turn. I gotta manifest. Well, it's gonna be hard because you're abusing yourself, which is why a lot of us dwindle ourselves down to a couple choices. It's why a lot of people are scam artists. It's why people are always trying to get something for nothing. They are the people who are always trying to get over. A lot of times that's because of the poor conversations they have with themselves, the way that they become victims and they diminish themselves down to a few options, no spirituality, no level of manifestation beyond their mental capacity. So they just figure out, well, I can't get it. I can't come up with no new ideas. So I'm tired of this manifesting. I ain't coming up with no new ideas. So I'm just going to do something mean, do something illegal. I'm going to do something crazy because I'm not creative enough. I don't believe enough in God to say, you know what, make me like you. Make me a creator. Make me a developer. Help me be creative in that space. You just go, okay, I'm just going to do what I know. Or I'm going to do based on the few options that are in front of me. And so that's how a lot of people become scam artists. That's how a lot of people do illegal stuff because they feel like they have no other choice. Because leaning into that creativity is not an option for them. So, all right, family, we're going to get out of here. And don't forget our shows that are coming up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's conversation. I didn't get any questions from you all, so I guess y'all quiet. Y'all just talking to yourself today. Because remember, as I'm talking, you're having a conversation with yourself. And so I'm asking you to ask yourself, what is that conversation? What is that conversation? That's our theme for this week. Okay. Tomorrow morning, we're going to talk about the state of Black business. We're going to go through that report. I'll work on putting some graphics up there together. We'll do that and we'll have that conversation and just see what it says and see what it means. And sometimes some of this data and statistics are put in front of us. It can help us to overcome it. Some of the stuff is skewed. We'll see. All right, family. Listen, make sure you support. If you don't have your commemorative Elijah coin, go out, get your commemorative Elijah coin, support the preservation of the history of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum, 4847 South Woodlawn Avenue. If you support the platform, you support any of the efforts that I'm working on, go to Cash App or you can simply go to support SajdahWendyMuhammad.com or just give a donation or a love offering. Cash App Sajdah Enterprises. If you want to book me for a strategy session, a coaching session, a planning session, a scaling session, emotional intelligence, money psychology, building your business, you name it, let me know. If you want me to sit on a board of advisors and you want me to help you get through get your business or your life to that next level, your career to that next level as a conscious entrepreneur, just go to book SajdahWendyMuhammad.com. All right, family. I love you all. I wish you all more goodness than you've ever received or imagined. Stay here for the rest of the commercials and I'll see you all. Make sure you go on the page, go on my social media, go on this page. I did move the playlist for the manifestation series up on the page so you can flip through that and do a little reminder of the master key system and the book that we use as a companion in the manifestation series. And make sure you read chapter 2 for this week of the Mind of an Entrepreneur book. All right. I'll see you all tomorrow, 6 a.m. Central Time. Peace and blessings.